My husband, then boyfriend, this happened about 2009, owns a nonprofit organization in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He builds gardens and dams for farmers in rural Congo. So it was my first. He'd been over there a dozen times by 2009. We met in 2006. And so it was my first trip over there. And we went over as the cornerstone of any healthy relationship. Teamwork is kind of our thing. And, we had this philosophy of an equal division of labor. He did the dishes, I did this, paid this bill, he did this. And I always had a chip on my shoulder about making the bed. It was too domestic. I don't want to make the bed. I want to watch you make the bed, mister. It was just something I didn't want to do. So we go over, so we're in Congo at this point. We had to drive from Rwanda to Rwanda to Congo. It was like through the mountains, abject, quivering poverty. If you were born in or have visited a developing nation, you know what it's like. It's almost indescribable. So we get there. We get to a compound, and a local Congolese project manager has a lot of employees on the compound who pretty much take care of everything. They do the laundry, they do the cooking. So there really wasn't too much of a labor force for us to divide between us as a team. And so we had two things. There was a bed that had to be made, and there was a shit bucket that had to be emptied. And so I said, I'm not making the bed. I'm going to empty the shit bucket, and it's going to be great. And so we were there for 3 weeks, and so there was a shit bucket because the only other option was a little straw hut out in the middle of the field, and there was a hole, a deep hole, and there was wood, just wooden planks surrounding the hole. You had to sit on the ground and shit in this hole, and it was terrible. And everybody watched you walk across the field. They all know that you're going to take a shit in this little hut. It was terrible. And so we kept a bucket by the bed, and that's what we used. And so weeks would go by, and days or whatever, and he calls me Moose, and he'd say, Mrs. Moose, you have to empty the shit bucket. And I'm like, yeah, it's my job. Let me do it. I'll do it. You make the bed. Just make sure the bed gets made. And he's like, all right, you might want to do it soon. And I was like, yeah, I'll take care of it. It's my job. Just let me do it. And so the time comes. I was procrastinating. I don't want to empty this shit bucket. I want to do nothing. And so the time comes, and it's the second to last day that we're there, and he says, hey, well, he didn't actually say anything. I was like, okay, I have to. It's time. I have to empty the shit bucket. It was not quite 5 gallons, but it was a massive blue bucket filled to the brim with shit from the last 3 weeks of our collective excrement of me not emptying the shit bucket. So I was like, okay, this is gonna suck. So I take it by the handle. It had a lid. So I take it by the handle, and I'm like, I had to haul it across. It was 110 degrees out. I'm in Africa. It was so hot. It smelled. Oh my God. And so I'm hauling this. It must have weighed. It wasn't a 5. It must have weighed 8 pounds. Hauling it across this humid, hot, field to this mud hut. And so I get to the mud hut, and I take the lid off. It's just about as disgusting as you can imagine. And I dump it into this hole. It's glopping. It's spilling everywhere. It's fucking disgusting. And I'm like, and I finish. I think I threw up in my mouth a little bit. And I finish. I stand up, and I'm like, wow, I'm gonna make that bed from now on. And I look down in the hole, and it's shimmering. And I'm like, what's shiny? And I look down in it, and and I'm like, oh, it's moving. What the fuck? And it's this 5-foot-high pile of live maggots. And I'm like, oh shit. And I just book it out of the straw shit hut. And I run to Alex, and I'm like, I'm making the bed from now on. We're a team. I'm making the fucking bed. and I made the bed the last day we were there, and that's it.